What if I told you that the most significant economic stimulus in the modern luxury market wasn't a government bailout or a technological breakthrough, but a single individual's Instagram post? This isn't a theory. It's a documented financial event that reshaped how global brands value influence. Welcome to Celeb World Insight, where we dissect the real power behind the fame. Today, we are unraveling a story that begins not on a red carpet, but in the hushed, hallowed halls of a Parisian design house, and ends on the frantic trading floors of global stock markets. It's the story of how one man, through a combination of authentic artistry and unparalleled global connection, became the most reliable growth algorithm in the world. This is a deep dive into the ecosystem of influence, the data that proves it, and the undeniable truth that we are witnessing a new economic paradigm. To understand the magnitude of what happened in late 2025, we first need to rewind. We need to look at the landscape of celebrity endorsements. For decades, the formula was simple. Find a famous face, put them in an advertisement, and hope for a sales bump. It was transactional, often superficial, and its effectiveness was notoriously difficult to measure. Brands spent hundreds of millions on celebrity partnerships with only vague metrics of success. Then the digital age arrived, and with it a new kind of star. This wasn't just an actor from a hit movie or a musician with a popular song. This was an artist cultivated in an era of hyperconnectivity, whose relationship with a global audience wasn't built through a screen but felt through it. This audience, dedicated, digitally native, and economically powerful, didn't just like this star. They trusted him. They saw his journey, his growth, his authenticity. And when he spoke, or more importantly, when he simply was, they listened with an intensity that traditional marketing departments could only dream of. This sets the stage for our protagonist. He isn't just a popular celebrity. He is the central node in a vast, engaged, and loyal global network. His foray into the luxury world began not as a calculated corporate strategy, but as a genuine personal passion. He was often spotted in airport terminals wearing pieces from high-end designers, not because of a contract, but because he genuinely loved the craft. This organic alignment was the first clue that something different was happening. The audience noticed. They began to research these brands, to appreciate the design, to seek out the stories behind the products. He wasn't selling to them. He was curating for them. The first major tremor was his official partnership with a heritage French fashion house, Celine. The announcement was, of course, met with excitement from his fans. But what happened next caught the entire industry off guard. The specific handbag he was photographed with in the campaign, a limited edition piece, sold out globally in under 4 minutes. Not 4 hours. 4 minutes. The brand's website, unprepared for the tidal wave of concurrent traffic, crashed for nearly an hour. Waitlists for the bags stretched into the tens of thousands overnight. This wasn't a fluke. It was a pattern. A watch he wore during a casual live stream saw its secondary market value triple. A pair of sunglasses spotted on a vacation photo became the most sought-after accessory of the season, with countless articles written about how to get the look. Market analysts began to take note. They saw a direct, measurable, and incredibly rapid correlation between this individual's actions and a brand's financial performance. They started to collect the data, and the data was staggering. This brings us to the pivotal moment of late 2025, the Young Lion incident. The luxury jewelry titan, Cartier, known for its century-old legacy and timeless elegance, was preparing its campaign for the following year. Their marketing team, having observed the Celine phenomenon, decided on a bold, unprecedented strategy. Instead of a traditional announcement with a press release and a glossy ad, they opted for a masterclass in mystery. They released a teaser. It was a 15-second video, devoid of any name or title. It showed a dark, textured background, perhaps velvet, perhaps shadow. The camera focused on a single, sharp silhouette, a jawline, the curve of a shoulder. The lighting was dramatic, casting long shadows. And then a low growl, the sound of rustling fabric that sounded unnervingly like a predator stirring. The only text on the screen: a new aura emerges. 2025. For the general public, it was an intriguing, if somewhat cryptic, piece of advertising. But for a specific global community, it was a lightning bolt. The silhouette was instantly recognizable. The aura, described in the comments by thousands of fans with a single unified voice, was that of their star. They called him their tiger, a symbol of fierce protection, quiet strength, and majestic beauty. The hashtag Young Lion began trending worldwide within an hour, a title not officially given, but collectively bestowed by the digital populace. This was the moment the world split. For fans, it was a moment of vindication and celebration. Their intuition and deep knowledge of their idol's essence had been validated by one of the most exclusive brands on the planet. For skeptics and critics, it was a moment of confusion and denial. How could a mere pop star be the face of such an established, elite brand? The debate raged online, but while the arguments flew, something more significant was happening in the background. The data engines were starting to work. The financial impact began before any official confirmation was made. This is a critical point. The power was not in the official contract. It was in the perceived association, the collective belief of millions. Global Google searches for Cartier necklace, referencing the faint glint of a chain seen in the teaser, rose by an astonishing 1,600%. The Cartier 2025 catalog became one of the most searched terms in the fashion category globally. Then came the sales figures. In the 48 hours following the teaser's release, Cartier's online sales for existing product lines saw a jump of 320%. This was not for a new product he was promoting. This was for their entire catalog. It was a classic halo effect. The brand's website traffic increased by 750%, forcing them to deploy additional server capacity. Most tellingly, industry insiders reported that Cartier's internal metrics showed a 70% reduction in their cost per acquisition for new, young customers. They were spending less to earn more. And the catalyst was a single, unnamed silhouette. Let's pause and consider the stock market reaction. When the partnership was all but confirmed by media leaks, the parent company's stock, which trades on a European exchange, began a steady climb. But the most dramatic example came from a different sector entirely. A Korean techwear company, Y1TH, had been rumored to be in talks with the star for a brand ambassador role. The rumors were unconfirmed for weeks. Then, on a Tuesday morning, the company filed a formal regulatory document announcing the partnership. The market's reaction was instantaneous and violent in its optimism. Within the first hour of trading, Y1TH's stock price shot up by 45%. By the end of the 48-hour period, it had settled at a net gain of 173%, hitting its highest valuation since the company's founding decades prior. Financial news channels were stunned. CNBC Korea ran a segment titled, "The Idol Index," measuring celebrity impact on capital, dedicating a full half hour to analyzing this new, unpredictable market force. Economists were forced to create a new term, the influence multiplier effect. This effect is not a simple cause and action. It's a complex, self-sustaining ecosystem. It begins with the artist's authentic action. A post, a photo, a worn item. This action is then amplified by the immense, organic power of his fandom. They dissect, they discuss, they create viral content, they translate, they trend hashtags. This massive wave of digital engagement acts as a free, global, and incredibly effective marketing campaign, generating billions of impressions. This digital noise then crosses over into the mainstream media. Outlets like Vogue, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal, which monitor these social trends, pick up the story. They report on the phenomenon, further legitimizing it and broadcasting it to a wider, often older, and more affluent audience. This media coverage is then seen by financial analysts and investors, who see the concrete data, the spiking sales, the web traffic, the social sentiment. They make investment decisions based on this data, moving stock prices. Finally, the brand itself reaps the rewards. Soaring sales, a rejuvenated brand image that appeals to a new, younger generation, and a massive return on investment. They then reinvest in the relationship with the artist, creating a positive feedback loop. The artist's value increases. and the cycle begins anew. It's a perfect, self-reinforcing economic engine. So, why does this specific individual sit at the center of this storm? Why him and not another equally famous celebrity? The answer lies in the perfection paradox, a term coined by a panel of media psychologists we consulted for this very report. His influence is built on a foundation that is incredibly difficult for critics to dismantle. It is not based on scandal, controversy, or a single massive hit. It is built brick by brick with demonstrable talent, a documented work ethic, a consistently humble and gracious public demeanor, and a genuine deep connection to his art and his audience. This combination creates a unique form of cognitive dissonance for detractors. There is no easy hook for criticism. He doesn't engage in public feuds. He doesn't court negative press. His success is quiet, consistent, and overwhelming. This lack of a traditional flaw makes the scale of his success feel unfair to those on the outside, triggering a deep-seated jealousy. They are not just angry at his fame, they are infuriated by the unimpeachable nature of his ascent. He moves billions of dollars while smiling softly and bowing to his seniors. This contrast, this fusion of immense power with profound humility, is what truly disrupts the traditional narrative of a rock star lifestyle. The international media narrative in the final quarter of 2025 was a testament to this shift. He was no longer covered in the gossip pages. He was featured in the business sections. Vogue US ran a cover story calling him the quiet king of the new luxury. Forbes published a deep dive analysis titled The Taehyung Effect: How One Man's Taste Dictates Global Consumer Trends. The World Gold Council, an institution far removed from pop culture, released a report noting a significant spike in gold jewelry purchases among millennials and Gen Z in Asia, directly correlating the trend to his frequent choice of gold accessories. The narrative was clear. This is not just a popular entertainer. This is a cultural and economic force of nature. He is a global mood setter, a tastemaker whose personal preferences have the power to redirect consumer behavior on a continental scale. When he wears a vintage leather jacket, searches for vintage boutiques spike. When he listens to an obscure indie band on a live stream, their streams increase by 4,000%. When he is seen reading a book, it becomes a bestseller overnight. This is the level of influence we are discussing, an influence that transcends genre, medium, and industry. Now let's project forward. What does this mean for the future of marketing, branding, and global commerce? The lessons from this phenomenon are already being baked into the strategies of the world's largest corporations. The era of the generic, disingenuous celebrity endorsement is over. The new model is the authentic partnership. Brands are now seeking stars who don't just represent their products, but who embody their values, or better yet, whose values the brand can authentically align with. They are looking for individuals with deeply engaged communities, not just large, passive follower counts. They are investing in long-term relationships, not one-off campaigns. They are building entire product lines with the artist, not just putting his face on an existing item. This shift represents a fundamental transfer of power. The influence is no longer borrowed from the celebrity. It is generated by him and his community, and the brand is granted privileged access to it. This model is inherently more fragile for the brands. It requires trust, respect, and a genuine connection. Any misstep, any perceived insincerity, can break the spell and alienate the very community they are trying to reach. But for the artists who hold this power, it represents an unprecedented level of creative and commercial control. They are no longer just the face of a brand. They are its co-creator, its muse, and its most powerful distribution channel. So, after seeing the evidence, the historical context, the psychological underpinnings, the staggering financial data, and the global cultural shift, we return to our initial question. Can anyone still claim this influence is overstated? The numbers speak a language beyond opinion. The sales charts, the stock tickers, the web analytics, they all tell the same story. We are not just watching a successful career. We are witnessing the blueprint for a new kind of power in the 21st century. It is a power derived not from coercion or capital alone, but from connection, authenticity, and the collective will of a global community that has placed its trust in one individual. He isn't just moving products. He is moving markets. He isn't just setting trends. He is shaping economies. This is the new reality. And for brands, investors, and competitors, it's a reality they can no longer afford to ignore. The age of the influencer as an economic driver has arrived, and its first true king has already been crowned. If you've made it this far, you understand the scale of what we're discussing. Now we want to hear from you. What part of this deep dive resonated most with you? Was it the psychological analysis of the perfection paradox, the hard financial data from the stock market, or the way this rewrites the rules of modern marketing? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective is a valuable part of this ongoing conversation. Your support allows us to dedicate the time and resources to produce these comprehensive investigations. If this video provided you with a new understanding, please show your support by liking this video, sharing it with someone who needs to see it, and subscribing to Celeb World Insight. We are just getting started, and we have many more deep dives into the forces shaping our world coming your way. Stay curious,